Do Americans say don't as often as the British? This is really a question for Americans. When watching us TV or films, it's often my impression that, while using all the other contractions, Americans don't seem so keen on don't and use do not rather more often than we Brits. I also don't think this difference only occurs when it is stressed. Any comments?
I did some searches in the corpus of contemporary American English and compared the results to similar searches in the British National Corpus. What I found was that overall, in American English there was a 7.9 to 1 ratio of don't to do not. With breakdowns by type. In British English overall, the ratio was 4.4 to 1 in favor of don't, with breakdowns by type. So, if it is reasonable to conclude anything from this data, it is that Americans overall use don't about twice as frequently as the British, but the British use don't in speech about 2.9 times more frequently than Americans. In any case, these are not big enough ratios to be noticeable by anyone not counting every incidence.
I think we use don't and can't almost exclusively in normal conversation here in the US. Do not and cannot are reserved for making special emphasis or dramatic effect. But we have a long history of using the word don't, particularly in admonishing our former colonial masters. Have a look at this colonial American flag, Gadsden flag, source, Wikipedia. And its naval equivalent.
I'm new to the site. I stumbled across this forum question, because as a British ESOL tutor, living in the USA for the past 25 years, my lesson for my students tonight is about contractions. I, from my own personal experience, have observed and noted that the spoken contraction, don't, is definitely spoken less frequently, by all and sundry, around Palm Beach County where I reside. In fact, as a Brit, I treasure being a proud and frequent speaker of contractions, especially don't, but my oldest teenage son and his teenage buddies rarely speak this contraction. They, in fact, to my observant ear, only say do not. I'm constantly admonishing my son for not saying don't, instead choosing his wording in a similar vein to his fellow teens. I will, however, bring to your attention that my son likes to text Ike in place of I don't know. Which then makes me in turn chuckle, because of his infrequent use of the contraction don't. I need to draw to his attention his acronym doesn't make sense unless he actually uses the contraction don't in his conversation, because his acronym should instead read IDNC, I do not know.
I don't doubt that we say don't in the US as much as our cousins across the pond. That is, I expect usage is similar in the US and UK.
I voted for Nohat's answer, because of the evidence, but I offer my observations anyway. I find that Americans generally use accepted contractions, including don't. I rarely hear do not except for emphasis. Another data point, in Star Trek, The Next Generation, Worf and Data are conspicuous for their contraction-free speech, again including don't. Worf is formal by choice, Data has some kind of weird programming deficiency. This is actually played up in the show from time to time. Everyone else uses don't freely.
Contractions.